Good morning and welcome to The Mint. I'm Andy Hodges. Let's have a quick look at last night's closing prices on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. African currencies, basic commodities, African commodities, metals and energy prices. In our main story, the African Development Bank Group, ADB, released its long-awaited African Economic Outlook 2020 report on the 30th of January 2020. In a foreword to the publication, the president of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akiwumi A. Adesina, had this to say. Africa's economic outlook continues to brighten. Its real GDP growth, estimated at 3.4% for 2019, is projected to accelerate to 3.9% in 2020 and to 4.1% in 2021. Leading the way are 6 economies among the world's 10 fastest growers. Those are Rwanda, Ethiopia, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Tanzania, and Benin. Growth fundamentals are also improving, with a gradual shift from private consumption towards investment and exports. And for the first time in a decade, investment accounted for more than half of the continent's growth, with private consumption accounting for less than 1/3. The 2020 outlook highlights, however, that growth has been less than inclusive. Despite Africa's solid growth performance, only about 1/3 of countries achieved inclusive growth, reducing both poverty and inequality. To make Africa's growth more inclusive, countries need to deepen structural reforms to diversify their productive base, build resilience to extreme weather events by adopting climate-smart agricultural techniques and providing risk-sharing platforms for households, create more fiscal space to expand social safety nets and increase the efficiency of existing programs, and remove obstacles to the movement of workers to more productive opportunities within and across countries. Fostering more inclusive growth would also require building Africa's human capital and creating more jobs in high productivity sectors. To do so, countries should seek to integrate education and skill development strategies into their economic development plans, while upgrading and expanding education and training programs to strengthen worker employability and firm productivity. That requires measures to improve both the quantity and the quality of education. Specifically, it requires expanding access to schools in remote areas, increasing incentives to invest in education, developing a demand-driven education system in sync with employers' needs, investing in nutrition to help poorer children, and building STEM and ICT capacity. To address inequality in education, the outlook appeals for progressive universalism in education spending, setting high priorities for the poor and disadvantaged and for basic education, where social returns are highest. The outlook shows that public expenditures on education and infrastructure are highly complementary, as investing in both has a much greater payoff than investing exclusively in just one. The efficiency of education spending is much lower in Africa than in developing and emerging Asia. The good news, though, is that by enhancing the efficiency of education spending, now at 58% for primary schooling, African countries could almost reach universal primary enrollment without increasing spending at all. Key policies to improve spending efficiency and education quality include conducting education expenditure audits and reviews, improving teacher quality, and using performance-based financing. This year's outlook offers numerous ways for African countries to develop the workforce of the future. Addressing Africa's education and skill gaps requires collective action involving government, household, international donors, and the private sector. Let's invest in Africa's future and prepare its workforce. The report covers key areas such as Africa's growth performance, outlook and inclusiveness, macroeconomic performance and prospects, remittances and foreign direct investment, education, structural change and inclusive growth and pathways to ending extreme poverty in Africa. It further looks at financing education and skill development in Africa, public financing, household financing, international financing and private sector financing. Further, the ADB African Economic Outlook 2020 report comes up with key recommendations. On the Mint over the next week, we'll be looking at the various issues in depth and bringing in analysts to review the report, so make sure you watch the show. For centuries, African countries have struggled to produce competitive vehicle brands. As such, billions of dollars are spent annually in importing used cars, mostly from Asian giants such as China and Japan. But Zimbabwean-born, South African-based car designer Mr. Tatenda Mungofa is on a mission to change the face of automated manufacturing on the continent. The car brand Mureza Auto Company, headquartered in South Africa, is set to start assembling its vehicle Prime 8, rebadged from Iran's Cyper Quick at Willowville Motor Industries WMI assembly plant this year. Mureza Zimbabwe events coordinator and public relations officer Chido Chimoyo Nyemawa said that the vehicle's selling price will be around $13,500 and the auto company would aim to manufacture 100 cars per month. She said, and I quote, "We are targeting to produce 100 units per month and the vehicle selling price will be $13,500 each. Arrangements for Zimbabwe dollar purchases will be made." The Prime 8 features a 1.5-litre naturally aspirated petrol engine producing 87 kilowatts. As one would expect from a hatchback of its size, the vehicle is front-wheel drive. The best trim option for the local range will include keyless entry, a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system, sat-nav, rear-view camera, parking sensors, and air conditioning. Motorists will also get electronic stability control, tire pressure monitoring, a powered driver's seat, and 2 airbags. Nemara said, although the current economic situation was unfavorable, Mureza's efforts would help to create employment and promote investment. Nemara was also confident that their brand would rise to the limelight, despite the market being currently dominated by well-established international brands. Mr. Mungofa said, "We realize that Africa is importing many goods, yet it has the resources to manufacture its own products." The journey towards Mureza is a long haul dating back to 2007. A team of professional car designers, including Mr. Mungofa, as well as co-owners Ms. Peladi Chiloane and Ms. Tulisa Sosibo, are behind the company. The team has been working with other consultants and vehicle component suppliers to develop prototypes. After years of hard work, Mureza clinched a joint venture deal with Iranian car manufacturer Cyper Group. The deal entails Mureza to assemble and distribute the Mureza Prime 8, while Cyper provides technical support. Other models in the pipeline include a truck and a sports utility vehicle SUV. All these vehicles will carry features that are unique to Africa and will be made with materials from the continent. Local car battery manufacturers could also benefit from the deal. According to Mr. Mungofa, vehicles produced in Zimbabwe will be both for the local and export markets. The current vehicle assemblers in Zimbabwe are Willowville Motor Industries, Quest Motors, Devon Engineering, and AVM Africa. IoT for All reports that the Internet of Things, IoT, has generated a lot of attention over the years, and for good reason. In today's digitized age, IoT technology is helping many industries improve their operations. Even agriculture is starting to embrace IoT connectivity. Global food demand is growing, and traditional agriculture simply can't produce enough food to meet the world's nutritional needs. To save future generations from hunger and malnutrition, farmers will need to deploy more innovative techniques to increase their yields. This is where IoT technology steps in to give a helping hand. IoT-driven smart farming will offer farmers new ways to manage their farms and help them improve not only the quantity but also the quality of their produce. This is a growing industry, and it's expected that the global smart agricultural market will reach $17.9 billion by 2025, compared to $7.1 billion in 2017. To make farming as effective as possible, a company from Russia called Alan IT developed Dairy Production Analytics, DPA. DPA is a dairy production management service that provides dairy farmers with information about environmental conditions and other factors important for dairy production. This solution is currently being used at the Voshchikovo farm in Russia. The farm has 4,500 dairy cows, which used to produce 125 tons of milk per day, or 28 liters per cow. After the implementation of DPA, milk production at the farm increased to 33 liters per cow every day, a growth of about 18%. The way DPA works is by gathering information from external sources, including sensor devices designed to monitor temperature, humidity, pressure, and wind speed and direction. The cloud-based platform then stores and analyzes the data to help farmers make better decisions. The solution will notify farmers about changes on the farm and allow them to take action immediately. For instance, thanks to the new system, the farmers realize that the cow's food needs to increase in quantity when temperatures on the farm get lower. Having this information in mind, farmers were able to establish a proper feeding routine, which as a result improved milk production. Without DPA, this wouldn't be possible. Besides milk, IOT technology could also improve potato production. At least that's one of the goals of the EU-funded IOF 2020, Internet of Food and Farm 2020 project. The main objective of the project is to enhance the EU farming sector and make precision farming a reality. In one of its use cases, IOF 2020 proposes using smart farming solutions to help European potato producers overcome a number of challenges. Dealing with crop diseases and pests, as well as climate change effects, has become a major struggle for potato producers. But using inexpensive, cutting-edge technology could help food producers better cope with existing challenges. According to IOF 2020's website, farmers could reduce their total input cost by 19%. Achieving better productivity and environmental sustainability in farming heavily relies on farmers' involvement in smart agricultural practices. However, high farm segmentation, along with the industry's complexity and economic pressure, have delayed the adoption of smart farming in many parts of the world. User-friendly IoT platforms could make the industry less complex and help every stakeholder within the sector make better decisions. Technology is revolutionizing many industries, including agriculture. Based on current advances in agriculture technology, it's evident that innovation such as IoT has become a more prominent part of the industry. As the tech becomes even more sophisticated and affordable, farmers' reliance on IoT will inevitably grow in the future. Hindsight is 2020. It can be incredibly difficult to pick the next big stock in the moment, but looking back gives us clarity on where we could have reaped the highest rewards. While some of the decade's chart toppers like Netflix and Amazon are household names, other stocks may come as a surprise. MarketWatch reveals the best performing stocks over the last 10 years and shows how much an initial $100 investment would be worth today. To compile the list, MarketWatch reviewed the current S&P 500 constituents and included any stocks that have traded in their present form for less than 10 years. The remaining companies were sorted based on their total return when reinvested dividends from December the 31st, 2009 to December the 5th, 2019. So which stocks came out on top? Well, streaming giant Netflix takes the #1 spot. The company earned a staggering 3,767% return over the last 10 years, meaning an initial $100 investment would now be worth around $4,000. However, it remains to be seen whether Netflix's first mover advantage will remain strong, with new competitors entering the space. One such rival, Amazon, takes the spot at number 10 in the best performing stocks of the decade. From its humble roots as an online bookseller, the company has transformed into an e-commerce leader. CEO Jeff Bezos credits Amazon's admirable success to three key customer-centric factors: listen, invent, and personalize. At number 12 on the list, Constellation Brands, owner of several alcoholic brands such as Corona, is also no stranger to invention. The company is protecting itself against cannabidiol CBD disruption with a $5 billion investment in Canopy Growth and future plans to create its own CBD-infused beverages. Number 15, and the credit card company MasterCard is number 17, and Ross is number 14. Apart from the names you'd expect to see, there are also some lesser-known companies that made the list. Well established among institutional investors and broker-dealers, Market Access Holdings takes the number 2 spot. The fintech company operates a global electronic bond trading platform, vastly improving the process for investors who traditionally traded bonds over the counter. In third place, healthcare technology company Biomed develops medical devices that provide circulatory support. The company's Impeller device, the world's smallest heart pump, has been used to treat over 50,000 US patients. If we organize the top 20 by sector, information technology stocks appear on the list most frequently with 5 companies, followed by consumer discretionary, 4 companies, and industrials and healthcare, 3 companies each. Sectors with less representation in the top 20 are communication services, 2 companies, as well as consumer staples, financials, and real estate, 1 company each. While these stocks have performed extremely well over the last decade, they are not necessarily the best portfolio additions today. Some companies may have become overvalued or be facing new competition in their industry, as is the case with Netflix. It's best to consider all current information when building a portfolio. However, the top 20 stocks do demonstrate the power of a buy and hold strategy. If you're lucky enough to identify a winner early on, it's possible to simply sit back and let your dollars grow. Even before Apple unveiled the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro in September, reports had already started to emerge about what the company could be planning for 2020. The biggest upgrade coming in 2020 will likely be the introduction of 5G network support, an addition that some analysts are expecting will result in a huge iPhone upgrade cycle for Apple. A study from Strategy Analytics published in November also suggested that Apple could surpass Samsung and Huawei to lead the market for 5G smartphones in 2020, even though those companies have launched 5G-enabled smartphones long before Apple. Apple's next-generation iPhones are expected to introduce other major changes, such as different size options, a revamped design, and a new three-dimensional camera, according to the predictions of TF International Securities analyst Ming-Chi Kuo and other reports. Here's a look at some of the things known about the new iPhones Apple is expected to release in September. Apple is expected, I said, to bring 5G support to all its flagship iPhones in 2020. The iPhone is also expected to support millimeter wave-based 5G. Millimeter wave networks are noticeably faster than existing 4G LTE networks. Apple could move away entirely from LCD screen technology in favor of OLED for all of its new iPhones this year. Apple has outfitted its least expensive new iPhones, like the iPhone 11 and iPhone XR, with an LCD screen rather than an OLED one. OLED displays typically offer better contrast and deeper blacks compared to LCD screens, but they cost more. Apple's next major phone release may also come in 4 variants and will launch a 5.4-inch, 2 6.1-inch iPhones and a 6.7-inch iPhone. The 5.4-inch model and one of the 6.1-inch models are likely to only have 2 cameras instead of 3. Other than 5G connectivity and new screen sizes, other headlining feature in this year's iPhone is expected to be its camera. Apple is planning to equip its 2020 iPhone with a more powerful, rear-facing 3D camera to enable better augmented reality performance, according to Bloomberg. Apple did away with Touch ID on its latest flagships in favor of Face ID. There's a chance the company could bring back its fingerprint scanning technology next year. That could help the 2020 iPhone more directly compete with rivals like Samsung's Galaxy X10, which also boasts in-screen fingerprint recognition. Apple's 2020 iPhones will likely inherit the new features found in the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. That means there's a good chance they'll have the iPhone 11 Pro's triple camera system and night mode, among other features. You've been watching The Mint. I'm Andy Hodges. Please follow us on our Facebook page, Zim Papers TV Network, our website, ztn.co.zw, and on YouTube under ZTN. Your comments are welcome via our Twitter handle @ZTN News and on Facebook. Join us here on The Mint every weekday morning at 6 a.m. Central African Time. Well, that's it for me this morning. Goodbye. Have a profitable business day, and you all be safe.